Today's episode of Variant is brought to you by Domain.com.
Today on Variant, I talk Batman and his future in comics. Welcome to Variant, where we love comics more than Batman always has a plan. I'm your host, Arris Quinones. Before I talk about today's episode, I know it was supposed to be a Villains Month episode, but since this Saturday is Halloween, I figured it made more sense to move it to this coming Saturday. So instead of a one-shot episode this Saturday, I'll be posting a special Halloween episode. As for today, however, I had the chance to sit down with a bunch of writers and artists who are working on Batman and Batman-related comic books, such as Scott Snyder and Capullo, who are working on Batman. We also have Peter Tomasi, who just took over for Detective Comics, Greg Pak, who's doing Batman Superman, Babs Tarr, who co-created the new Batgirl costume and is currently the artist on Batgirl, Jimmy Palmiotti, who's writing Harley Quinn, and the list goes on. So let's see what they had to say about their Batman and Batman-related titles and what's in store for the future.
You got a new character now, new villain, Mr. Bloom. How'd you come up with that and the design? How did that come about?
Well, I came up with him because, for me, I love that Gotham, whenever you try and be a hero in that city, whether you're a citizen or you're Batman, it will generate sort of a villain that represents all of your fears.
Yes.
And because Jim Gordon believes, I think, in the people of Gotham, in their ability to put faith in the systems that they put in place to protect themselves, the police, local government, all of that, you need a villain who instead sort of says, none of that works, none of that will ever work, protect yourself. Come to the end of the alley, get your superpowers from me, and go be a powerful force for your own interests and nobody else's. So Mr. Bloom, that's where he kind of came from in terms of the concept of him. And visually, the idea, I gave Greg a few ideas about, how he should be weed-like and this stuff, but the brilliance of the design, the fishnets, and the kind of slender quality and the way he moves and all of it is really... He just kind of takes the ideas and spins them into something pretty magical. I love the villain so much. I love writing him, and he busts out in 45 and 46. He's just out of control in the next couple issues, where he really comes into his own and starts grandstanding, and it's a lot of fun. So that was my half of it.
Yeah, Scott always throws these ideas my way, and then I try and come up with something that's either close to what he's thinking or far from what he's thinking, and he was going, I want this really creepy character, maybe his face is just a flower. And as soon as I heard the word flower, I go, how are you making that creepy? If you love somebody, you might give them a flower, right? If you're in the doghouse, you want to get out of the doghouse, you might give them a flower, or flowers. So I go, I don't really see, the creep factor. And he's going, like a sunflower. I'm going, me and my sister used to grow sunflowers, and watch how cool they change direction. This is fun. It's a fond memory. So I really wasn't getting the creep factor. And then he sent me like a picture of a sugar skull, and I was telling him why mechanically, that wouldn't work for me to be able to pull it off that way. And he just kept on with the flower angle, and I started to go toward the weed angle. And at one point I made like a bride's veil out of a tangle of weeds, which looked pretty damn creepy, Now that I said was creepy, and but he kept on. Cyclops, you ended up in the center of the flower, and so I'm trying to make it work, and I'm not feeling it, And so he comes up with his picture. I don't know where he found it, but it just the mass that you see is an actual flower that exists. It looks carnivorous. It has all these little teeth-like fangs in a circle like that. And so once I saw that, I go, that's something I can work with. And the rest just evolves, in how you feel about something. When he said weed, I just tried to emulate a weed in the guy's stature. Yeah. And the fishnets was actually a last-minute have to do, because Danny had already inked the cover. It was already in FCO's hands, and Scott goes, I want to obscure the skin color of the character, And my editor came up with an idea that I don't remember what it was. All I know it was a bad idea, and I said, no, leave it to me. This is what I do, and I got this, and I whipped out that fishnet thing, and I just digitally inked it over Danny's, real ink board, and sent it off to FCO, and the rest is history.
You're doing detective now. What can we expect from your detective run?
Just being back in the Batman universe again after. Well, I was in Arkham Knight really pretty much for the whole time since Batman and Robin ended, but
now you're back in continuity.
So it's the first two issues deal with Gordon in the suit, obviously. So that's been interesting to handle and deal with, and I've enjoyed it. It's kind of cool to watch him. I think it just came out yesterday, so I'm not giving away anything. So it's I wanted to see the humanity behind it and look about it's playing off of the old times when we used to see Bruce and all the scars on his back and all the stuff. Now Gordon, who hasn't had anywhere near the training mentally and physically that Bruce put himself through, is feeling the pain. He's feeling what it's like to be in this suit, and then the Justice League come calling, and they know he's the Batman of Gotham. They know he's not Bruce, obviously. So there's a lot of cool dramatic moments that happen between the League and Gordon, and they need a detective in this little adventure they're about to bring him on. So.
Right.
And they also want to say, hey, look, if there's a Batman in Gotham, let's check him out. Let's see what he's made of, too. So there's a lot of different angles on why the Justice League kind of pay him a little visit.
How is it writing Jim Gordon Batman as compared to writing Bruce Wayne Batman? Because it's like almost completely, they're Batman, but it's like two different characters. It's like a totally different dynamic.
Yeah, it's I really played up the fact that he even tells them what am I, a second draft pick, not your first draft pick,
Right.
And he even tells them, look, the Batman you had, that was epic Batman.
Right.
I'm not Mr. Epic. I'm a street guy. This is
I'm
who
a cop.
I am. Yeah, and so it's it's really cool to kind of look at those angles, and I'm even going to be exploring Jim as Batman in an annual coming out in March that Fernando Pesara's drawing, and I saw the first half of the book,
Right.
and it looks great, but it plays on his Marine Corps origins also.
Really cool.
So I wanted
Really
to explore
cool.
that because I feel like that kind of never has been, really peeled back a little bit. So I wanted to kind of...
Goes with the mohawk and everything.
Yeah, it does. It absolutely does.
Nightwing is now Grayson. So tell us how what's been going on with Dick Grayson for the last year or so.
So, people who don't know who Dick Grayson is,
Right.
He's Batman's original partner,
Right.
obviously. And he's a character, he's a 75-year-old character. He sort of lives in the heart, my grandmother knows who Dick Grayson
Of course.
is.
He's the
right?
first Robin.
Yeah, but we're doing something new and amazing with him to elevate him, because we're going to put him we want to put him up there with Superman, with Batman, to be a character, since he has that history and he's known to be as cool as that knowledge is.
Right.
And so what's happened to him is there's an organization that's sort of evil, and Batman has sent Dick Grayson in as a spy into the organization. And it's a spy organization, so he's pretending to be a spy.
Right.
So he's sort of a double agent spy in this
Yes.
in this new thing.
Recently, he's back in Gotham. So now Jason knows he's back. The whole Bat family knows he's back. How is that going to affect the issue now that it's like, oh, you're alive, you're back? What's been going on?
I mean, it's a huge change. It's a huge task. It's almost like a new issue 1 for us.
Right.
Because his whole family believed he was dead. And Dick Grayson is a very social character. He's a father, he's a brother, he's a son.
Right.
And he's been hiding from that. And now he sort of has that back in his life. And it makes him stronger as a character and gives him a ton more weapons. But he's facing a threat that's bigger than what he had before. He's
Right.
facing a global threat that could threaten the entire DC universe. So now that he has the weapons to fight that threat, but it's still something that he might not overcome.
So what can we expect into the future going forward?
The way I like to put it is we started small. We sort of established him as this Grayson character out on his own. Now we're in the midst of seeing him with his family. That's Robin War, Batman, Robin Eternal, this
Right.
thing. And then that's going to lead to a bigger story, which is Dick Grayson at the center of the DC universe. So it's almost a 3-step process to get us to how central he is to the entire story of what this universe is about.
Right.
And that all these books tie together into this story.
Batman, Superman.
Yes.
Last time we talked, Jim Gordon Batman just met Clark, but how has their relationship progressed, and now how will it progress
Right.
after this?
Well, it went straight to hell.
Yeah.
Is what you got to say. So the two of them teamed up to try to stop the Subterraneans from stealing Wayne Tech's artificial sun.
Right.
Okay. Just go with this on this. On an emotional level, it was Superman and Batman, and this new Batman, who's actually Gordon, trying to figure out if they can trust each other while they take on this massive new threat.
Right.
By the end of it, and Batman's like, who is this cocky kid who comes into my town and makes all this trouble? You know what I mean?
Exactly, yeah.
He has no reason. He doesn't know who this guy is. He has no prior relationship with him. He knows that he's just in over his head. He's making trouble.
Right.
By the end of it, basically, Batman says, I don't doubt your heart. You know what I mean? Like, everything you've done, I see why you're doing it. And I know you're sticking up for the people who need to be stuck up for, and I get it.
Right.
But you're not Superman anymore. That's his take on it. Like, you're just some dude
Right.
who you're a strong dude, yeah. But you're not Superman who can fly in and snap his fingers and save everybody. You
Right.
know, you're taking on these massive jobs, and you're just a dude. And when you do that, you put everybody in danger. That's Batman's take.
Right.
Superman doesn't see it that way. He sees this as the responsibilities that have come his way. If he doesn't step up, people are going to die. He's the guy who's here. He may not be the best guy for the job, but he's the guy who's here. He's
Right.
got to do it. But so the two of them part with Batman basically saying, "Get out of my town! Get the hell out of Gotham!" And so the new arc starts with Superman getting proactive. He's snuck into the Batcave and he's stolen a lot of great Bat goodies that Gordon doesn't even know about. And he's out there trying to track down Vandal Savage. Eventually, Gordon and Batman will come back into the story, and we're going to see what happens with that relationship. Whether or not, we'll basically find out whether or not Gordon and Batman was right.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, is Superman in over his head?
Right.
He could be.
He could be. What did you want to bring to the character and, just your take on Harley Quinn? What did you want to bring to that?
When we were given the job for Harley, Amanda and I felt that the way Harley was written and was great. We loved Bruce Timm and Paul Dini's version.
Right.
But we felt in order for her to have a regular monthly, we had to get her out of Gotham a little bit and her own supporting cast. And, of course, we're nice in New York, and we thought Coney Island would be a pretty good place for somebody that crazy to live. And so we kind of took her out of her comfortable surroundings, added a new supporting cast, and we just figured if we're going to do a monthly, it can't always be about the Joker. It's got to be about her and what she wants to do. And a lot of times to do that, you have to take somebody out of their surroundings, and that's what we did with Harley.
Well, I know for Harley Quinn, she was first introduced in the New 52 as far as Suicide Squad. You guys kind of redesigned her a little bit. I know you didn't draw it, but your wife did, so we kind of went into that, and I'm sure you had some input in that as well.
Yeah, well, we came up with the idea that she would not wear the same clothing all the time.
Okay.
And Amanda had the idea that there's no woman that's going to, no matter what she does for a living, is going to wear the same outfit every day. So she started when Harley's roller skating, she wears roller skates. When she's bowling, the new issue, she's bowling.
Right.
She has a bowling alley. Actually, she has to rush to the scene of something going on, and it's happening in a bowling alley.
Okay.
And she stops at home to change and then goes in. But the idea that her outfit reflects what's going on in a story, and at the same time, we make sure to keep the red and the black theme.
Yes, which I love.
But it's all inspired by cosplaying.
Okay.
So we see the cosplayers at the show, and they create these amazing outfits.
Right.
And Amanda and I sit there and go, "That is so cool." And we kind of tweak a little bit here and there. We get inspired.
Yeah.
And I feel because of that, people that read the book don't know what she's going to look like every month, which is kind of fun.
Yeah,
It always
really
has the
fun.
same thing.
Yeah.
The cosplayers has definitely a million things to do, and I think it's just she's a unique character. I think if you did it to Superman or Batman every month, people would be really pissed off.
Right.
But with Harley, because she's a little schizophrenic, it makes sense that she would keep dressing this way.
Totally. We Are Robin. Now, for people who aren't reading it, tell us a little bit about the book.
All right, so We Are Robin. It's basically about a group of kids who, they come together to become something bigger than themselves. They kind of steal the Robin name.
Mm-hmm.
They see, Batman's gone. There's, they're trying to fill the void for, fixing what's happening in the streets, and they say, you know what, we need to do this. So they come together. I describe it as a kind of like, most of the Robin, the Batman books are like rooftop level.
Right.
We Are Robin is straight up street level.
Yes.
So it's a little grittier, it's a little closer to the streets. It's got a kind of urban hip hop edge to it.
Which is great.
It's very dear to me, man. It's like something that I feel like I can relate to myself.
Right.
And I feel like it's a cool thing because I feel like it gives something a little different and more diverse to the Batman lineup. That adds something new, and although it fits, I feel like it has its own thing. It has its own space. So that's basically where Robin. It's kind of like, I think of it like, the movie The Warriors.
Yes.
That is like my biggest inspiration when we're drawing this stuff right now. Like just a street level. I don't like the term gang necessarily, but it's kind of a gang.
Yeah, I don't like it, but that's what it is.
Yeah.
Now, the costume designs, they're very cool, very original, like you just said a little earlier, like very urban, street level type stuff. So what went into that? Because they're all very different too.
Right.
Like, all the designs are super different. It kind of fits their personalities. So when, coming up with this stuff, what's going through your mind?
When we were doing this stuff, we were looking at like a lot of streetwear blogs, like Karma Loop and things like that, and just trying to find stuff that was like current and relevant, but like not so high kind of fantasy that you couldn't just make that at home or buy it in the store. Like, so we wanted it hip and kind of like hip hop in 2015, but not like suits of armor and crazy stuff like that. We're trying to keep it very street level so that, also it makes it easy to cosplay,
Right.
like
more realistic too.
Yeah,
it's like,
very
this is
realistic.
what it would be like.
This book is there's gods in the DC universe. You know, like these people on a higher level. We are not that. We are like right here handling like the street level gritty stuff. And I feel like that's kind of what the book is really all about.
Yeah, and a great change of pace. Now with Robin War and the future of just this title, what can we expect going forward?
Robin War, it's crazy, dude. It's just like...
It's a crossover series.
It's a big crossover, so everybody's in it. But like I said, man, it's just like everyone right now. Like Damien's coming back from... He's been traveling the world. He's just like, yo, who are these people taking my name? That's my dad. I'm Robin. He's like, I need to find out what this is all about. You know, Dick Grayson comes in the picture. He's like, who the hell is this? You know, like everyone's kind of like, who are these kids? Where are they from? What are they doing? Like, are they even good at this? Like, should they even be involved? And so as a result, everyone's just like, we need to find what this is all about. So you're going to have, you know, people from Gotham Academy. You're going to have Damien coming in. There's going to be some Batgirl. There's going to be some, everyone's just like, what can we do about this? Is this even a good thing or a bad thing? There's going to be an event that happens that sets it all up. I can't spoil it because it's crazy.
Okay.
But
read it.
But read it because it's going to be nuts.
Now the big thing with Batgirl is the redesign, which you did.
Yes, me and Cameron collaborated on it.
Okay.
He had done a pass at it before I got picked as the artist, and then when I got accepted, he was like, "Hey, check this out. What do you think? Like, add to it, or you know, edit it or whatever."
Right.
He kind of had the snaps and the boots already.
Okay.
And he had kind of a leather jacket that was very reminiscent of like Yvonne Craig's kind of like zip up thing. But I thought, leather jackets could be so much cooler than that. So I added all the streamlines to it and the zippers and some extra hardware, like a little snap on her collar to kind of add to echo the snaps on her shoulder. And I put her hair down and I added like cool earrings in her ears because I don't know about you guys, but ladies, I feel like we feel kind of naked if we leave the house without like a little bit of hardware in our ears. So I added that, and it kind of add some youth and cool to her costume. And he also had a really old school belt, so I added. I kind of made it like a side pouch and added a little thigh strap to add a little sexiness to it.
Yeah, it's like one of my favorite parts. It's kind of like, you know, because it's almost
it makes
like
so much sense,
yeah,
right? They're gonna be all flapping around.
Right. It's like what the sheriffs use too, you know, where they have like all their stuff.
But batarangs.
Right.
I don't know how to make one of those.
Now, as far as the color scheme, it's very like 66 Batgirl, right? Was it like, you know, we want to go?
Yes, very much a nod to Yvonne Craig. You know, and so is the tone of our book. Like, we kind of wanted to go back to that kind of like fun, like sassy, like kick-ass Batgirl, you know?
One of my favorite things you guys did is you introduced a live wire, but you guys, you know, you got to draw her and do all that fun stuff and give her a new origin, like a YouTube origin, kind of like what I do.
Yeah. Don't go any near electrical grids, okay?
So what went into, you know, creating her origin and, you know, going into that artistically and stuff?
Oh, well, I think it's so fun when you take an old character and you're like, what would they be all about now? And she used to be like a radio DJ.
Okay.
And it just made so much sense that it would be YouTube these days, you know, instead of the radio.
Yeah.
So that was kind of an easy pick, and it was fun. We kind of like got to be like nod that she made like makeup tutorials and stuff, which is so, I don't know. It's
like Jacqueline Hill. I only know that because of my wife and stuff. I don't watch makeup videos.
Sure. Got a little smudge there.
All right, yeah, right. What can we expect going forward with the Batgirl series?
We have a new super scary villain coming up. I don't know how much I'm allowed to say.
Okay.
But Babs gets her head messed with.
Okay.
That's all I can really say, because
right.
that's what they put in the solicit, so I can't get in trouble.
All right. When you buy a domain name from domain.com, you get the power to influence and control what people find when they search for you online. No domain extension will help you tell your story like a .com or .net domain name. Domain.com is affordable, reliable, and easy to use. The guys at domain.com gave variants an awesome offer. Get 15% off domain.com's already affordable domain names and web hosting when you use the coupon code variant at checkout. So when you think domain names, think domain.com. First up for Wednesday, October 8th, we have Batgirl issue 45. As Barbara's friends gather for a major celebration, a familiar face from her past returns and has got a lot to say about their future together. Now we have Grayson issue 13. Back on the job at Spiral, Dick has a mission all his own, to find out more about Agent Zero. Now we have We Are Robin issue 5. Some of the Robins are ready to return to the streets, but others aren't putting the R back on until they know who's pulling the strings behind the nest. And finally, we have Justice League Darkseid War Batman 1. As the Darkseid War rages on, Batman's role in Gotham City humanity and the world alters drastically as he's forced to accept his new role as a god of knowledge. And that, my friends, will bring another episode of Variant to a close. But remember, you can always like our Variant Facebook page to keep up with the show and all things comic related. You can also follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/Arris_Quinones. But I will see your lovely faces next week when I talk about all things comics. I gotta put you on the spot a little bit.
Go ahead.
You do a great Stan Lee impression. For people who don't know, he does a fantastic Stan Lee. So the audience has to hear this if you have it.
My throat is so shot. It's gonna sound like gravelly porn Stan a little bit.
That's more entertaining, right?
Well, you gotta ask me a question.
Okay.
I'm gonna answer it.
Okay.
It's gonna be tough because I need like a little water.
So, what's Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn's relationship like?
Well, I've never read those comics. See, when I did comic books, we had Iron Man and the Fantastic Four and all those guys. I never understood what DC Comics meant. I did Marvel Comics. There's a word Marvel. Detective Comics. Not everybody in those books detectives. I don't understand that.
Anyway, sorry. He says that all the time, by the way. So,
it's like authentic Stan Lee.